phase of moon. You can see them in the sky. Third phase of moon. You know these two guys. Third phase of moon. Meet two guys who take no crap from nobody. Now, are you sure you're telling us the truth? Because we'll have to send Goof on. We don't mess around. Goof on's our backup. Oh, no. Please, don't send Reacher. Do not send the Goof on crew. Third phase of moon. I understand I may say some things that are cringeworthy and borderline. I am not going to stop talking. I am going to be even more vocal. I can't be somebody I'm not. Third phase of moon. I'm not bad. And neither is third phase. They did their shit in the past. They're not doing bullshit videos anymore. There hasn't been a hoax on purpose.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. We are here again. Why are we here again? Talking about the Ross Coulthart Big Bluff. You know, where Ross Coulthart and a respected state research scientist, Gary Nolan, promised the world that they were going to show us, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology, unquote. By the way, it wasn't just those two in on this thing. It was also well-respected scientist Michio Kaku. I hope he got a great paycheck, but I'm not sure that he was aware that he had been used in a scheme to defraud the public out of monetized clicks and views by lying in promotional materials, by lying and claiming that they had something they clearly did not. And why, you might ask, would a respected scientist in the form of Michio Kaku allow himself to be used in the promos where they said they had conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man? And then they cut to a shot of Michio Kaku. So I wanted to know if Michio Kaku knows that they used him in that fashion. And I reached out for comment several times now. Most recently, tweeted at him just before broadcast, asking him if he knew that they did that they used him and his respectability and his good reputation as a world-renowned scientist to sell a garbage fake story, a provably 100% provably fake story that they used Michio Kaku in. Now, I don't blame Michio Kaku. I think he got a paycheck, and after getting the paycheck, he said some things in the piece they were creating, you know, theoretical physics. We may be able to break the speed of light barrier. There may be alien life on other worlds. That's what Michio Kaku does, though. He talks about science, so I don't blame him for taking a paycheck. Who edited that incredibly deceptively? Well, now Ross Coulthart, and as we'll hear tonight, even Gary Nolan. Now Gary Nolan is blaming the advertisers. It wasn't the advertisers who stood there and did the voiceover for completely deceptive fake story that they were hawking. It was Ross Coulthart who did that. And we saw last night that Ross Coulthart is an incredibly disgraced journalist. Is there any wonder why he has wandered into the wacky world of UFOs, where he can get away with things like putting out promos that say, quote, "We have conclusive proof of alien technology," unquote, all confirmed by this man. And then you just give Michio Kaku a paycheck, and that helps sell the entire fake story that you're hawking. Then you get a respected, well, used to be respected, Stanford research scientist in the form of Gary Nolan. And you get him to stand there in this piece and claim that he's going to analyze these alien metals. It gets worse and worse and worse the deeper you go into this story. And I wondered if this is not perhaps the perfect example of why these scams work and why these scams continue over and over and over again. Welcome back, friends. My name is Stephen Cambion, and you are watching Truth Seekers, where we cover the strange and esoteric world of everything, but with a bit of a skeptic's eye. And here we are again talking about this story, because I had mentioned that Dr. Gary Nolan won't come here because we have asked incredibly important questions like, does Stanford University know that you're using Stanford University labs, equipment, personnel, time, and resources to help a disgraced Australian journalist sell a 100% provably fake story about UFOs and alien technology? Do they know that you're doing that? No, he doesn't want to answer those questions. He wants to do the UFO circle jerk. We talked about it here before, but for the benefit of new viewers and listeners, I'm going to tell you all about it. What is the UFO circle jerk? The UFO circle jerk is when one of these scammy, scummy people that run around selling fake stories go to someone who we can call a facilitator, an enabler, and a bottom feeder. Because what the underbelly underneath the people running all of these fake story scams is podcasters, show hosts, up and coming people who want to be one of those UFO celebrities. They want to work those UFO conferences. They want to be famous on Twitter or wherever. And so they suck up to these UFO celebrities and they give them what they need to help sell the story. They facilitate the sale of these false narratives, these disinformation campaigns. And by the way, while we're on the subject, who knows if this is not a government-sponsored disinformation campaign put out there for whatever reason. And I have hypothesized in the past that some of these fake story scams they have to be, in my opinion, some of them have to be government-sponsored CIA ops or DEA ops, DIA ops. Pick whatever alphabet soup agency you like, the NHS, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, whatever alphabet soup agency you like, because the amount and vastness and the depth of the criminal activity that sometimes takes place in order to put these false stories, false narratives, and everything else out to the public, it's an incredible amount of criminal activity, criminal behavior is taking place in some of these instances. I'm not speaking about specifically about the Ross Coulthart story, just in general when these stories come out. Because we have people that will literally do things like, I don't know, defraud the Pentagon and take videos out of the Pentagon that were never intended for public release, then lie to the New York Times about running a top secret government UFO program that never actually existed. Then they'll get TV show deals for lots of money, book deals for lots of money, conference organizer appearances for lots and lots of money. How is doing something like that under all these false pretenses not a form of consumer fraud? I believe that it is. And when we speak specifically about this Ross Coulthart piece, how is he able to do that and not face any accountability or legal repercussions for lying through his teeth to the public in order to get everybody to click on the video and make, who knows, how much money did Ross Coulthart, Gary Nolan, and Michio Kaku, for that matter, how much money did they all make with this 100% provably fake, false story that was all sold on a lie that they had, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology? And by the way, for the benefit of those who may not be up to speed on this, we'll play one of those Ross Coulthart bumpers with the promotional material with all the lies in it. We'll do that. I know that my usual audience is probably getting sick of seeing some of this stuff because we have been harping on this story, and I can't help it. I am fascinated that people are able to get away with this and make tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there is no repercussions whatsoever, right? No repercussions whatsoever. So let's take a listen to Ross Coulthart and what he promised, along with, I suppose, Michio Kaku, who was involved in this story, and Dr. Gary Nolan, who refused to come here and do an interview. He refused to answer questions by email. He refused to take my phone calls. By the way, I have his phone number. I could call him every day. That's all I could do, and say, hey, why did you participate in this? Right now, he's doing UFO circle jerk shows that we mentioned before. Those are the shows and the show hosts that help these UFO celebrities sell these provably 100% fake stories that they make, in some instances, hundreds of thousands of dollars hawking. Let's take a listen to Ross Coulthart, who we learned last night is an absolutely disgraced Australian journalist. He was once on 60 Minutes, ran a piece calling all kinds of important, wealthy, powerful people in England pedos with very little evidence except for his wackadoo sources, which he did not vet. So to me, it's no accident that this guy gets blown out of the water in his own country. Like, he can't get a job with a reputable organization. He once worked for 60 Minutes, my God. And now he's doing this, hawking fake UFO bullshit stories. Let's take a listen to what he promised us. And remember that nobody to this day has given us any proof, let alone conclusive proof of alien technology.
I probably would be more cautious about in terms of how we present it is the sphere story, for the simple fact that we just don't know yet whether it is or it isn't non-human technology.
We have new, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology.
Frankly, whilst a lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology, we're not going to say that.
We have new, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology. This renowned scientist confirms it all.
Whilst a lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology, we're not going to say that because That's a terrible danger.
We have new, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology.
A lot of people want us to say, yeah, it's alien technology. We're not going to say that.
Alien technology. This renowned scientist confirms it all.
We're not going to say that.
New, conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology. This renowned scientist confirms it all.
We're not going to say that for the simple fact that we just don't know yet whether it is or it isn't non-human technology.
Yeah, and there we have it. So, and this is after he promised everybody in the last story that he was completely disgraced over and lost his job at CBS Australia, claiming that he was presenting the story of the, quote, biggest political scandal ever in England, unquote. So we see that Ross Coulthart has a pattern of literally just lying through his teeth to sell a salacious story here. And of course, we've got Gary Nolan involved in this, and Gary Nolan refuses to answer any questions. We did a whole story, apparently. And again, I'm just asking questions here. So, save your angry lawyer letters for somebody else. According to the Stanford Code of Ethics, Gary Nolan is not allowed or supposed to use university labs, equipment, personnel, resources, computers, phones, whatever. He's not supposed to use any of the university's stuff to personally profit. And he clearly is using the university stuff, but I don't have 100% confirmation that he was paid either for his participation in the Dr. Stephen Greer alien mummy baby scam or this new one. He won't answer questions. I asked him a very simple question. Were you paid for your participation in either project? He won't answer those questions. And the sad part, and the part that bothers me, is that when he does do interviews, it's with the UFO circle jerk people. You know, those people that won't ask him the questions that people really should be asking him. And this, it shouldn't bother me anymore. Right? I mean, after all, welcome to the world that we're in here. We're in a wacky world of aliens and UFOs and conspiracies. Why should I expect somebody that's covering these topics to actually do a credible and real job when they interview one of these people? It's about getting the clicks and views. And in order to get the clicks and views, these UFO circle jerkers, most recently Chrissy Newton of the Debrief Rag. And by the way, the Debrief Rag is supposed to cover science and technology. But did you know we can look at their science and technology stories and see that they get dismal shit engagement or views on that stuff, right? They get the views from the UFO fairy tales and the UFO fairy tale huckstering. One second. Okay. So, sorry, that was some sort of error. That was an error notification, and I don't know what the error is. It looks like we're still broadcasting. We'll continue with tonight's presentation. So besides this UFO circle jerk, this is what enables this to happen. This is why people can stand up in front of the world and say, we have conclusive proof of alien technology. And look, this famous scientist, Michio Kaku, confirms it all. And then get everybody, drive millions of people to click on that video, make tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of dollars or more with a complete manufactured false fake deception. And one may ask themselves, why would Michio Kaku or Gary Nolan participate in this? Well, Gary Nolan, this is not his first time going around helping a UFO grifter appear credible. That's what I believe Gary Nolan's job and responsibility is. That's his part of the con. His part of the con is, hey, let us film in Stanford University. Show us some sciencey stuff, Gary Nolan. Show us some high-tech machines you're going to use to show us the alien metals, Gary. And he does. And I don't believe that the university knows or would condone him helping a disgraced Australian journalist who essentially got fired or not rehired by 60 Minutes Australia for selling a 100% provably fake story and hyping it out the wazoo. It's interesting how history repeats itself. That was Ross Coulthart's first big bluff. It was bigger than this one because he was calling all kinds of House of Lords. I don't know much about the English Parliament or governmental system, so you'll have my friends from around the world, and especially over there across the pond in England, will have to excuse me. But in that piece, he essentially called a whole bunch of people in the English government pedos, and his sources were ridiculous nutters, that their stories, none of which could be verified by police or anyone else. There was all kinds of red flags that these people telling him these fairy tales were nutters. He ran with it anyway, and he hyped it out the wazoo. Overpromise and underdeliver. Now we get him striding into the UFO community going, I hope nobody knows how I scammed the whole world with this 100% provably fake pedo story, because now I'm going to make up alien and UFO stories, and I'm going to get some very good help. I'm going to get that Ben Hansen guy. We'll pay him for a spot, right? And he is a former FBI agent. Makes us look more credible. Now we're going to get this other guy, Michio Kaku. Everybody knows him. And then we're going to deceptively cut the promos to say that he's confirming the alien technology. It's a wonderful illusion of a huge breaking story. But like any illusion, which is something, my friends, I know a thing or two about, it falls apart under the least little bit of scrutiny. When you get to see behind the illusion, you almost laugh at what makes that illusion work. And in this circumstance, what made the illusion work is you get these two scientists. Hey, maybe we'll throw in Ben Hansen or somebody else that's appears to be credible. So this whole story seems plausible and real, right? And then we just deceptively edit everything. And it's interesting that after getting caught 100% pushing this 100% provably fake story, now the excuses begin. That's part of the the Cosmic Con shuffle. We've talked about that before. You get caught dead to rights with 100% fake story, you got to make up some excuses. Sometimes they blame the men in black like Linda Moulton Howe. Sometimes they say, well, it's a government cover-up, so they planted the fake evidence to discredit me. No, Ross Coulthart is blaming his employers for hyping up that story, saying, oh, yeah, they really sensationalized and overhyped it. He sat there or stood there in a vocal booth. I know how these things work, Ross Coulthart, you liar. To do the promo, they had to bring him in. He had to stand there in a studio. Either they gave him ad copy of what to read, or he wrote it himself. And he stood there and let them record him saying, we have conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man. And then somebody deceptively edited all of this crap together, and he's going to blame his employers. He's going to say, "Oh yeah, they sensationalized it. They didn't sensationalize it. You lied. Be a man, right? You're like I have children, and I have a pet peeve. If I catch my 6-year-old son stealing cookies from the cookie jar, and there's cookies all over his face and all down his shirt, and there's cookie crumbs everywhere, and the cookie jar is moved, and I look at that, and I look at him, and I say, did you take some cookies? And he lies to me. It drives me crazy. Ross Coulthart is like a child that got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, Who's in, nope, wasn't me. While he's got the cookies all over him. He's got, nope, wasn't me with those salacious, over the top promos. I didn't do that. It's your voice. It's your image, and it's your reputation. If he was truly a man of integrity, a man that had some kind of ethics, morality, something, once he saw those promos, he should have tweeted a statement. I don't stand behind these promos. They manipulated me. We don't have proof of alien technology. Something. He did nothing. He sat back like a fat cat waiting to get those views. And boy, did they. Over 1 million monetized views. And opinions differ. You can go do some research and find out how much money. And by the way, that's the last time I checked. I think it got 2 or 3 million views. It might have. But since they took the video down, it's hard to tell how many actual views it got. More than 1 million. And anybody's free to go research how much money you get paid on YouTube for monetized, 1 million monetized views. It's a lot. So we cut to Gary Nolan, who won't answer any questions about this blatant, I would call it a blatant clickbait scam. That's what I would call it. And he won't answer any questions here, but he will do the UFO circle jerk. And he went to the best person possible in this terrible situation. Gary Nolan's in a bad spot right now because everybody keeps asking where the hell the analysis of the ball shavings are. They promised they had conclusive proof of alien technology months and months and months and months ago. And in the piece, he promised he was going to be done the analysis in a month. By the way, it doesn't even take a month. I'm going to try to explain this very quickly. I explained it last night. If you have a piece of metal and you want to know, is that a piece of ordinary earthly metal that was from planet Earth or our solar system or outside of our solar system, you put it in a mass spectrometer, one capable of analyzing the isotopic ratios, because metal from outside our solar system will have slightly different isotopic ratios, different recipe for the same cake, let's say. And that test won't take you a month. That'll take you, I don't know, a couple hours to do that test. He could have known right then and there while Ross was visiting. He could have put that stuff in the mass spectrometer, got the results and said, nope, ordinary earthly metals. Sorry, Ross. You're not going to be able to defraud the public saying we have proof of conclusive alien technology, because I could do this test in an hour or two and give you the results, and you can put it right in the piece that it's not alien. But if we do that, there's no million views. We got to pretend that thing might be alien. We have proof of alien. It's going to be, this guy, Gary Nolan's going to prove it's alien metals. And now, Gary Nolan is doing the Cosmic Con shuffle right now. Boy, he's shuffling, coming up with more and more excuses of why he hasn't finished the analysis that was promised to be finished in a month. And people are getting pissy. They want to know what's going on with those ball shavings, whatever. And Gary Nolan is doing the Cosmic Con shuffle, and he's making up all kinds of excuses. And now, this is my prediction. He's going to go on a UFO circle jerk tour. And he may not name us directly, but the reason he's doing all this Cosmic Con shuffling is because of our coverage of the story. And isn't it wonderful that not one other UFO show, to my knowledge, covered this 100% blatant scam perpetrated on a worldwide public? No one exposed this scam but us here. Why is that? There's hundreds of shows about UFOs, hundreds of shows about the paranormal. Not one person raised these questions that we raised here. Not one person correctly pointed out what we have reported here and pointed out. Not one show besides us. That, my friends, will tell you that it's a big club and I ain't in it. So I can say what I want. And most other shows can't do that. Why? They want Gary Nolan to come on their show. And by the way, Chrissy Newton and Ryan Sprague, look at their numbers when it's just them. Look at their numbers when they do a show without the UFO celebrity. dismal, shit numbers, nothing. Nobody cares what those two talking head UFO clowns have to say. Nobody tunes in when it's just them, right? Get that UFO celebrity in here, 10,000, 20,000 views. They are guest driven because no one cares what they have to say. They have no research of their own that anyone cares about. They have no investigative work of their own. No one cares when they don't have the guest. They need to do the UFO circle jerk in order to survive. We don't. And so Gary Nolan goes to the best person possible to help him do the Cosmic Con shuffle. He goes to a public relations person. I couldn't believe this. She's a public relations person. And by the way, I had a rather heated exchange for her, which I think I once apologized for it. I'm not going to apologize again. And I said, you're getting the interview. Do your job. I'll read you the messages that I actually sent this girl before the interview. And what did she do? She did the UFO circle jerk. And then, I can't prove this, but it appears to me that she, off air, told him what I said and what's going on, right? And sort of helped him with the public relations aspect. You got to explain this or say something about this because people are talking about it. But she didn't ask him the question on air. He just volunteered this stuff. So we kind of know she's playing the game, right? Helping him to do some damage control here when he won't answer any ethics questions, when he won't answer a simple question like, were you paid for that? How much money did you make from that? It was 100% provably fake story, Dr. Nolan. And you participated, you got paid. How much did you get paid? That is a real question. Questions the circle jerkers will never ask these people. And you know, when I have to choose between having integrity, honor, and being somebody that people can look at and say, that guy's got balls, he asks the real questions, or do I swallow all, semblance of reality and just play the game? I'll take the losses and be a real person, be a journalist. Imagine that. It's your job to ask these questions when there's literally people running around scamming people for monetized views. You're just going to sit there and not talk about it and pretend that guy is some kind of authority. This is great. All right. So before we get into and by the way, I'm only going to play a few short portions of this girl interviewing him that I thought were relevant. The stuff about crash retrievals and the stuff about the analysis of the metals. But before we do that, oh yeah, we always misspell his name. Somebody is letting me know. It's 2 R's in Gary. I'm sorry, I never heard of that before him. Had Gary friends growing up. We'll fix it post-show. But before, let me share my screen. I've got a few things to share with you. I'm asking Michio Kaku if he knows that he was used in a UFO scam. Michio Kaku, I asked, disgraced Australian journalist used you to perpetrate a UFO scam, claiming in his promos that you would confirm, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology. Watch here at the start of the video. He claimed you were confirming his claims. Can I get a comment? And by the way, that's just the most recent of me asking for comment from Michio Kaku on this story. Haven't gotten any replies. I get it. He's a busy guy. But I'm still going to keep asking him. And I'd like to know if he got paid to participate in that project as well. Because if he got paid, and I'd also like to ask Ben Hansen if he got paid to participate in the project. I'm betting they did, because if they got paid, if Ben Hansen got paid and Michio Kaku got paid, we can probably assume that Gary Nolan got paid. Why would he be the only one that doesn't get paid, right? So we're going to keep following up on this story. We're not letting anybody off the hook here. We're going to keep following up. And I'm going to follow up as well with Stanford University. I want some on the record comment from them about whether they know that he is using university labs, equipment, personnel, and whatever to help somebody push a 100% false narrative fake story in order to get monetized views. I think they should comment on whether they know their professor is doing that or not. Now, before we get into, I have to find, I love Charlie Weiser. By the way, somebody asked me today if Charlie Weiser would be a guest here. I have asked Charlie Weiser many times to come here. Charlie is a bit of an enigma wrapped in some secrets and a little bit of mystery as well. And Charlie Weiser likes to remain mysterious. And I sure as hell wouldn't be on camera. And I said, well, how about just do a voice video, or, just do a voice interview, like you're on the phone. Nope. So, but we'll keep asking, and maybe Charlie will change their mind. For those that don't know, Charlie does research a lot like me, but just puts it on Twitter. This is a great sort of analysis of this whole fiasco, and specifically commenting on things that Gary Nolan said, with Chrissy Newton being the facilitator, enabler of garbage, right? And by the way, there's proof that Chrissy Newton is helping generate garbage, fake stories so other people can make money too, because after this interview, the bottom feeders came in, and I'll show you some of that. They took stuff that he said and wrote monetized blogs. So you see how this works? Everybody's getting clicks and views on these backs of these UFO celebrities, the things that they say, right? It's great business. All right, so this is Charlie Weiser. Dr. Gary Nolan was interviewed on the debrief. Towards the end, he volunteered to talk about Jim's ball shavings, a big mistake. Nolan says people are always asking him to analyze stuff, but it's just a rock they found on the beach. He won't do it. It's got to have a chain of evidence. A metal ball from Dennis Hopper's bodyguard that Jane Fonda fondled? Bring it on. And Charlie shows some interesting pictures of this supposed alien probe. Is it a probe? I think they called it a probe. Not only is Nolan stuck with Jim's balls, he's also defending his new buddy Coulthart, who had no control over his show's dishonest promo. And there's something we can agree on. Ross Coulthart had total control over that dishonest promo. He himself may be the person who created it. I've reached out to News 7, his employer, to say, who edited that? Who did the voiceover? Who wrote the copy on that promo? No reply. We all must have imagined Coulthart's mouth saying, quote, stunning new evidence, unquote, and, quote, testable evidence of alien technology, unquote. Nolan isn't going to test Jim's ball savings until, this is ridiculous, until he has $64 million from charitable grants to set up a lab from scratch with brand new machines under warranty that take a lifetime to learn how to use, and 10 experts to run them, plus slave labor, grad students. And here's this. This is real. Ball shavings measuring inch. I think this is kind of tongue-in-cheek. Cost of analyzing Jim's ball shavings. Ball shaving measurement instruments, $60 million. We'll wing it. Warranties and running cost $1 million. 10 technicians, experts only, $3 million. Sundry grad students free. And they have to wash the ball shavings and then investigate GoFundMe. They're going to try to get $64 million. For him to suggest that it would cost $64 million for him to do this analysis, he is like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar, making excuses, right? Like, I haven't completed the analysis that will prove that this is alien metals or not, because I need $64 million. No, a few $100s you could send away to a materials company who will do that analysis. The simple the simple analysis I mentioned, a mass spectrometer analysis, which will show if the metals are of earthly origin or of origin from another solar system. I believe that you could get that sort of analysis work done at an independent laboratory for $5 In fact, I've offered to pay for it myself so we can finally get the answer about Jim's balls and the ball shavings. I'm so convinced that this is ordinary earthly metals. By the way, there's been many rumors about what that metal ball actually is. Charlie Weiser showing some interesting possibilities. When Nolan gets his 64 million and results from 50 experiments on Jim's ball, he's not going to tweet about it. He's going to publish a paper in a peer-reviewed journal about a 50-pound industrial. Yeah, and this is what Charlie Weiser says it is. And you know what? Charlie Weiser is usually right. A 50-pound industrial ball check valve, because Jim said it rolls around sometimes. Just tweet it, Gary. Even though Nolan has Jim's ball shavings and we don't, he says if we don't like his $64 million plan, we can get off our butts, get out of our basements, spend a lifetime learning how to use those machines, and do it ourselves, because I'm not your daddy. In a dramatic twist, it turns out that some people on the inside have already given Nolan results on Jim's ball shavings, but he spanked those butts and sent them back to their basements because the results are crap. Who did this? It's crap. Nolan says naysayers will pick apart and the science does it wrong. He doesn't mean skeptics like yours truly. He means full of crap Stephen Greer, who called his beautiful study on the Atacama skeleton a fraud, i.e. Nolan is worried true believers won't like a mundane answer. And yet, because he let Coulthart drag him into his full of crap world where dust on a photograph is ET now, Nolan is forever immortalized on camera speculating that Dennis Hopper's bodyguard, frickin' ball check valve from a paper mill or something, is, quote, an alien scout ship. That's what he called it. It's not an alien probe. It's an alien scout ship. If what Jim is saying is true, Gary Nolan says, you've got basically a UFO scout vehicle sitting in Jim's house. Charlie Weiser goes on to say, lie down with the dogs of ufology, get up with flea-bitten credibility. Nolan told Coulthart, straight-faced, that the machine was right there in front of him to detect if Jim's ball was alien, and it would take a month. And yeah, I believe that's a mass spectrometer. So he's got one. They showed it in the piece. And by the way, it doesn't take a month to run a mass spectrometer. Even running multiple samples, he would be able to complete it all in a day. So, you know, and this stalling, this overpromise and underdeliver, and all of this stalling for where the results are is proof that this was a 100% fake story, and they both knew it going in, right? If you didn't do anything wrong, promising results in a month, why would you get so defensive? Start talking about how you need I need $64 million to complete the analysis of Jim's balls. I need 64 million, okay? I need more equipment. He showed the equipment that could verifiably prove if that was alien metal or not right in the piece. If the spear is alien, can you see that? It's an alien detector. No, it's a mass spectrometer, but he says, right, it'll probably take about a month. That's what he said. He said it would take a month. And that was a long time ago. And here we are. Further reading, Drag Me to Hell. And wonderful Charlie Weiser has a whole thread on the original story, which is really funny as well. Here's them showing balloons. Here's a senator, right, or a congressman showing him apparently top secret stuff on an iPhone. That's not how this works. Then we get Ben Hansen, right? Then we get Jim's ball. And here's one thing that's great in the story. They pretended that the ball moved in front of them. They lied. And another part of the story that was completely and totally deceptive. The ball never moved. They took that from a recreation documentary video, and they made it look like the ball, Jim's ball, was moving. Completely fake. Never happened, right? And it's a valve. And I love the wonderful way they did the science of it, you know, scraping it with a screwdriver, measuring it with like construction measuring tape. It's just great. Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And so I highly recommend check out Charlie Weiser on Twitter. I always forget her Twitter. It's at Like It Matters 3. Please do follow Charlie Weiser, one of the few people in the world doing a good job as a journalist here in this wacky world of UFOs. So we're going to get to just a couple of clips. And thank you, Laura London, for reminding me there's 2 R's in his Gary. Yeah. Where did I put that? Okay. First, we're going to get to the UFO crash retrievals, because, by the way, one of the other narratives that I believe is a disinformation government-sponsored narrative is that the government has crash retrievals, and there's going to be whistleblowers about this. They're coming out soon, right? And of course, this is 6 months ago. People like Gary Nolan and Ross Coulthart started selling that fake narrative in order to sell content. Oh, these whistleblowers are coming out. They're going to tell us all about the captured alien spacecraft that the government's been hiding and back engineering. Sure. This is UFO mythology, and it has been for as long as I've been interested in and knew about this, which is at least 20, 30 years. This has been UFO mythology, but soon all that UFO mythology is going to be 100% confirmed to be true. And by the way, I can't lie. I hope it does. That would be amazing. That would be an interesting story, wouldn't it? But they started saying this stuff. And so although Chrissy Newton, too busy doing the UFO circle jerk, couldn't ask him any questions about everything that we've covered here, you know, all the scammy stuff. She didn't have time to ask him about all the scammy stuff he's involved in, but she's going to ask him about unconfirmed garbage statements that he and Ross Coulthart has said about UFO crash retrieval programs, which, by the way, has zero evidence, zero proof. Trust me, dude, these whistleblowers are coming out. Sure, great. So she's got time to ask him about that, but not about any of the scammy stuff that he's involved in. And by the way, we're going to put up our fair use banner. Lawyer letters are standing by. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public, and we're critiquing the video that we are sharing. We're also using the video that we're sharing to educate the public about all the scammy stuff going on in the so-called UFO community. This is certainly covered under fair use and allowable by law. And this is certainly a transformative work. And we're educating the public, which tips the balance in favor of fair use. Further, should anyone falsely copyright claim me, I do have lawyer letters standing by, and I have won every single copyright claim ever leveled against our show in its long history. We've never lost one. So if you want to waste your time and have a strike revert to your channel for falsely copyright claiming me, good luck with that. All right, we're going to share my screen. And again, we're just going to play some short clips from this. I'm not giving this Chrissy Newton, I'm not giving her that much of my time. And, you know, actually, before we do this, there is something that I should do. I'm going to read you the messages that I sent Chrissy Newton. And in full disclosure, I was angry that she gets to do an interview knowing that she was going to circle jerk him. And by the way, that's what I predicted, and that's what she did. So I said, Ross deleted all of his tweets of the promos, and the piece was removed from News 7 Spotlight YouTube channel. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. I sent her a message and I said, what Gary Nolan and Ross Coulthart did recently may be considered a form of consumer fraud. They promised, quote, definitive proof of alien technology in the promos to Ross's newest mini documentary. Gary had done zero analysis on anything when the promos were made or the doc piece aired. It was pure fraud to get monetized views. Why don't you ask him about that instead of giving him the UFO circle jerk softball treatment like usual? It's your job to ask. If you don't ask about why he kept his mouth shut about the fact that he didn't even begin the analysis of the ball shavings, then I will report on you keeping your mouth shut about that too. And here we are, and I'm reporting on it because this girl knew all of this. These messages are November 21st. She was told all of this. Also, you should ask where the analysis and final report is. Big surprise, it's ordinary earthly metal fragments and samples. No proof of alien anything. In other words, another scam he participated in, just like the Stephen Greer Atacama humanoid scam. P.S. Tell Ryan I said hi, and thanks again for deleting my report on Facebook on so many in the UFO community working for a convicted child, you know what, and keeping their mouth shut about all of that. Guess you guys got wise and left KGRA, though, huh? Still don't want people finding out your show was there, though, I guess. And in full disclosure, Chrissy Newton is the co-host of Ryan Sprague on Somewhere in the Scam podcast. And we did a story here on KGRA and how Richard Dolan and Whitley Strieber and all these other famous UFO celebrities were all working for a convicted child guy who has a problem with children. And Ryan Sprague was there as well for a while. I didn't know that. I posted it in a Facebook group that he runs for, and they deleted my story about KGRA out of that Facebook group, right? Great, really, really great moral and ethical people, right? This is all a bunch of scammers, clout chasers, and just disgusting, despicable people. And the more I am here, the more I think I got to get the hell out of here. And I have to surround myself with good people, moral people, ethical people, not slime balls that work for child rapists and then try to cover it up. All right. Sorry, I'm getting upset here. Next. She asks, can you send me the link to where Gary and Ross say that in Ross's podcast? I see nothing of them saying about a silver ball. So I send her the piece we did and tell her the promos are in the very beginning. She says, this real bright girl, right? I said, the promos are at the very beginning, and I sent her a link. She says, not your podcast. Send me Ross's show where Gary and him said that. Not a very bright girl. Really, really a little dim, this girl. I mean, I told her it's right in the beginning. But anyway, I tell her, Ross deleted all of his tweets of the promos, and the piece was removed from News 7 Spotlight YouTube channel. But it got over 1 million monetized views by lying to people. She says, got you. I'll watch it. So she watched this before interviewing him, and she didn't care. She just ignored everything about all of this scammy shit. She ignored everything scammy when she interviewed him, right? But I think that she did do her job as a public relations person and help him get around the fact that he's involved in all this scammy stuff. And she doesn't even directly ask him about the promos. He just brings it up. So we know that most likely she talked to him off air, like, oh, this guy, Steve Cambians, he's covering this. And people are saying that this is wrong and there's a controversy here. I said, it's in the promos for the piece, and those promos are at the very beginning of my live show yesterday. Quote, we have conclusive proof, testable evidence of alien technology. This renowned scientist confirms it all. And then Nolan says, quote, the greatest discovery in human history, unquote. Ask Nolan how much money he got paid to participate in the Greer scam or this Ross Coulthart scam. He isn't allowed to use university resources, labs, facilities, or personnel like that. Yet he did both times. And then I sent her the link to the Stanford University Code of Ethics, which states professors, at least it appears to me from their code of conduct, they're not allowed to use university labs, resources, and personnel for personal gain. I said, he's whoring out Stanford University to UFO scammers. Nolan refused to answer me when I asked how much he got paid in both cases. Please ask him how much he got paid. She didn't ask anything about all this scammy stuff. You know what she did ask him about? Clickbaitable garbage that she knew would sell. You know, those stories with absolutely no evidence or proof about alien crash retrievals. She had time to ask him about that. Didn't have time to ask him about any of the scammy stuff that he's been involved in, right? No time for that. So this is transformative work. We're educating the public. Yeah. And this is from Chrissy Newton's public. Well, now you know I really did send her the message. That was the wrong thing to share. It's okay. All right. So let me find I have them. I tweeted these out. All right. We've got about 10 minutes to go through, so we won't be here too long. And isn't it interesting that I gave her, friends, all the information she needed, and she refused to address any of that, right? Because why should she do her job as a journalist, right? She's not a journalist. She's a clown. You, honey, are a clown for what you did. And you are the reason that these scammy people keep doing this shit. Because you don't do your job. You just sit there and do the circle jerk. Congratulations. And you know, it's great. She's working with, who is this? Ryan Sprague, who deleted our story about their program director. Deleted our story out of his Facebook, then claims he doesn't know anything about it. I still have screenshots, Ryan, of the notification from your Facebook group and you saying it was deleted because you didn't want to offend people. That's what you said, Ryan Sprague, you little weasel, you little rich boy, right? Is your mom and dad proud of you? They paid for your college, didn't they? They paid for your college so that you could help UFO scammers sell fake stories about UFO and aliens. Must be real proud of you, right? And you know how I know he's a rich boy whose mommy and daddy paid for his college, most likely? Because he just moved to Scotland for no reason. Rich, spoiled kids do that. All right, let's get into this. And I got to get over this story because it's pissing me off. I'm tired of this nonsense. And I'm tired of all these nonsense people in this thing. You bunch of, you're all a bunch of goddamn spineless weasels. All of you, you spineless weasel. Do you like seeing people get taken advantage of? Do you like people lying to everyone and making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars? Lying to everyone? You must, because you all play the game. You bunch of spineless weasel UFO circle jerkers. And I'm telling you, that's over. We're going to cover all you circle jerkers now, as many as I have time for. And every time somebody does the UFO circle jerk with one of these scammers who does all kinds of scammy shit, we're going to talk about it. But first, I'm going to send the people all the questions they should be asking. And then we'll talk about how everyone's a spineless goddamn weasel in this thing and doesn't do their job and lives in a delusional fantasy world pretending that all these people are credible and all this shit's real. It's not. All right. So I'm getting a little hot under the collar suddenly. All right. All right. We're going to share our screen. And yeah, great. First, we'll hear about the alien technology crash retrievals that there's absolutely no proof or evidence of. But, you know, why let me do this one more time and make sure I got the audio. Why let something like facts or evidence get in the way of a good fake story that you could sell, right? Fair use.
Whistleblowers are obviously coming forward and are going to say that, you know, are going to testify and are going to say that they've obviously touched it or have experienced it. You know, where are you with that in your data? Is there any other new data that you're analyzing? And do you know who these whistleblowers are?
Isn't it interesting that she's not asking a question? She's making a statement. All of these people that have touched this alien technology are going to come forward and they're going to testify. Says who? Where are you getting this from? Are you that dumb? Where are you getting this from? You're just repeating stories people told you that you like? Does that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside, Chrissy Newton, that somebody's going to come and testify about alien crash retrievals? She is repeating right back to these UFO celebrity clowns their own talking points. That's how you know she's in on this.
Can you name some to me? That if you will or not. And will this happen potentially next year?
I'm going to be very careful because I got in trouble for even saying some of the things I said.
How did he get in trouble? Who got him in trouble? This is more fairy tales, right? Oh, I got in trouble. As if to imply that somebody from the government came and sat on his dick or something, right? Right? Or stepped on his dick and said, hey, what are you talking about those aliens for, Gary Nolan? You're in trouble now. No, more unverified nonsense.
But so first, let's talk about the whistleblower law and what it really says. It doesn't say they can come forward and talk on 60 Minutes.
Right.
It says that they can come forward and tell people in Congress what it is that they've seen. Now, that doesn't mean that Congress can then turn around and talk about it publicly. In fact, they probably won't. I mean, Burchett and others have already seen the private briefings, and Burchett, to the extent that he said anything, has come out and said, this was technology. It was clearly a disc. It wasn't a balloon. It wasn't a seagull. It wasn't half a dozen other things that people claim, not swamp gas, etc.
And here we have Tim Burchett, who was also paid, I believe, to be a part of Ross Coulthart's project, or at least he participated in it. It's interesting that all of these UFO clowns, the only backup that they have is each other. Well, this congressman said that he saw this information and it was technology. It was a disc. Great. Show us the proof, congressman. Or is this just a bunch of delusional Fantasyland people who are all stuck in the same delusion, reinforcing each other's delusions? We saw how Chrissy Newton is reinforcing his delusions right at the beginning of this, repeating his own talking points back to him. Oh yeah, people are going to testify. Those are Ross Coulthart and his talking points, Chrissy, and you repeated them like a dummy Barbie parrot. Great job. You're a journalist now.
It wasn't a Chinese drone, whatever the latest excuses that they seem to be throwing out. So I think, yes, it'll come forward internally. Whether it sees the light of day.
By the way, it's hard to tell from the quality of this video, but I'm almost positive, Gary Nolan, and I don't know why this bothers me, but it does. It appears that Gary Nolan was wearing mascara during this interview and maybe a little bit of eyeliner. And having come from the rock world, I got nothing against a man wearing makeup, but it's a little distracting when you see this at high quality. And Dr. Gary Nolan has these big, black, beautiful eyelashes. It's a little distracting. It reminded me of the cartoon. You ever see a cartoon of like Pepe Le Pew and the girl cat or whatever with the big brushy eyebrows? I don't know why we're going off on a tangent about not his eyebrows, his eyelashes. Why would you go do a serious interview with a science and technology journalist? Yeah, right. She's a science and technology journalist, and wear a whole bunch of mascara and give yourself big, bushy, beautiful eyelashes like a woman. I don't get it.
Is another point. And I mean, the long and the short of it is there are people who know.
For sure.
And so I just shouldn't say anymore because
there's conversations I'm hearing of people gathering whistleblowers right now. Like I'm hearing that, and I'm
yeah, great. Name names, Chrissy Newton. Who are you hearing that from? Who's telling you that? Ross Coulthart, the disgraced Australian journalist who just got caught lying to everybody about having, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology, that you're too lazy to ask about all this scammy stuff? Who's telling you that? They're all just, oh, trust me, dude. People are coming forward. And by the way, I do hope that really does happen, but I'll believe it when I see it. Sorry.
Specifics in my own space, because there are, kind of lots of hearsay of things that you hear, and obviously you need evidence and proof, and let those people come forward. But they're gathering them right now.
Who's gathering them, and who are the people? Can I interview them? Can I interview the people gathering them that you're hearing from that are gathering them, or are you just telling fairy tales too and reinforcing delusions of other people who told you the same fairy tales? This is ridiculous. This is supposed to be a science and technology journalist. Great.
And
Also,
I don't. Yeah. Do you know what areas these people might be coming from, though? If it's either like, if it's let's say pilots, if it's government, is it, or is it politicians? Like, who are these people? Have you heard in what areas of culture are they coming from? What spectrum of culture?
Broadly speaking, government.
Okay.
I think that's probably, I can't get in trouble for saying that, but I probably still will get in trouble. I get in trouble all the time.
Yeah. Oh, he's such a dangerous man. He's getting in trouble all the time for giving us too much proof about those aliens. By the way, I don't know if it's relevant or not, but do you know who also works for the debrief? Christina Gomez works for the debrief. That's how I know it's garbage organization, right? Let's just give this girl a job who works with Jimmy Church, the guy who has interviewed more UFO scammers and helped more UFO scammers sell their fake wares than anyone on planet Earth, right? She's his co-host. Do you see how it's all so chummy? It's this big club, right? I'll be your co-host. You be my co-host. I'll get you a job on the debrief. You get me a job. Ryan Sprague, you could go work with him with somewhere in the scam podcast, right? By the way, Ryan Sprague, how many times have you interviewed Richard Dolan? Did you ever ask him about the Roswell slide scam that he participated in? Did you ever ask him about interviewing a dead man to sell a fake story? Did you ever interview him, ask him any questions about claiming to be in possession of classified, top secret government UFO information? He had to walk that one back. And how many times did you get to interview him, Ryan Sprague? That's why you get the interviews, because you're a circle jerk off, Ryan Sprague. You are there to be a useful idiot, and so is this Chrissy Newton. That's how all this works. That's why it works, because there's a line of useful idiots waiting to circle jerk these guys, repeat their talking points back to them, not be critical, and help them sell provably fake stories. Provably fake stories. And now we have the slightly longer version. By the way, I want to thank Joel at Future Folklore.
Whistleblowers are obviously coming forward.
Sorry, Nick Madrid, who I didn't feel like making clips, and they had the relevant clips. Twitter is a public space, a wonderful resource, and I'm glad that. Well, let me do this one more time, and again, make sure I always forget. Yep, share system audio. We would have got it. It would have been muted. And UFO Judas at Cosmic Diarrhea. I retweeted this. Nick Pope's 5-point plan to overthrow the government. I don't know if the music is copyright. I'm going to check that and play it. But apparently Nick Pope wants to overthrow the government and just destroy whole parts of the United States government in order to get UFO disclosure. It's so ridiculous. Welcome to the wacky world of UFOs. All right, here we go.
So for instance, these metal spheres of Ross Coulthart, right?
I was going to ask you about that, because there's so.
Yeah. Remember all those questions I gave her? She was going to ask him about that, but she asked him about his alien experiences and about crash retrievals that she's sure people are going to touch. She didn't ask him any of our questions. And even here, she doesn't ask any of the questions, which is how we know that she's in on the game. She probably informed him of like, well, people are saying all this stuff and Steve Cambion's covering this scam you did. You better talk about it. That's my informed speculation. Why else would Gary Nolan just offer all these excuses that he's going to offer now? She didn't ask him the question about that. She did not ask him about that at all. He just starts volunteering all this stuff about what we've been covering. But it's good to know that Gary Nolan is watching my show, right? If nothing else, we help the UFO huckster better, right? They watch our show, figure out, oh yeah, that is too obvious way to sell a fake story. Steve Campion's got me by the balls. We'll have to do a better job faking stuff next time. Great. But she didn't even ask him. But he starts volunteering all these excuses about the promos and the ball shavings and where the analysis is. It's great.
You know, so for instance, these metal spheres of Ross Coulthart, right?
I was going to ask you about that because there's so much online controversy, and I hate bringing up UFO Twitter for, not that I love UFO Twitter because I love that there's conversation in this space, but I hate just the gossip that's in that community. But I have to bring it up because they're saying.
And by the way, this is a public relations person. She's saying that my questions are simply gossip. No, we, UFO Barbie, we have the facts and we have all the evidence and we have all the backup for it all. And you're going to say that it's just rumors, right? People are just spreading rumors. No, we're spreading facts and the truth while you're helping this idiot weasel out of one of the biggest fake UFO hoax scams that there has been in recent times. How much money did they make, Chrissy Newton? How much money did you make sitting there circle jerking this guy? How much money did you make, Chrissy Newton, by being willing to throw your ethics, your morality, and every semblance of being a decent and good person and holding people accountable for their actions? How much money are you making for doing this?
And why isn't Gary come out with the hasn't analyzed yet? Why isn't that? What's going on with the sphere?
By the way, Chrissy, you were informed they already promised conclusive proof of alien technology in the piece, and at that point, Gary Nolan had not even begun the analysis yet. Why didn't you ask him about that? Why would you promise conclusive proof of alien technology before you even began the analysis? Oh, that's right. You couldn't do the circle jerk if you asked real questions, right? You had to do the softball circle jerk. I get it.
Here's the reason it's so first of all, Ross had no control over what the advertisers did for his show. I mean, so anybody who thinks that, you know, he was the one who wrote all the headlines.
Who did the voiceover? Gary Nolan. Who stood there and said, we have, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology, all confirmed by this man? Who stood there in a vocal booth? Maybe Gary Nolan, being a rich boy scientist, right, has never had a real job. But I worked in a recording studio and a video studio and a production studio. And I know how these things are put together, Gary Nolan. You got to get the talent, the on-screen talent, to come into the vocal booth and read the promo copy. He sat there and read the promo copy. Whose fault is it? Gary Nolan is now blaming the advertisers. It wasn't the advertisers who made that promo. It was your friend Ross Coulthart who made that promo, promising, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology.
It's like, you know this, you write an article and the news, the people behind the scenes write the headline, and you know, you don't have much say about what the headline is.
Yes, he did have say. The moment that promo aired, a moral, ethical person would have made a statement correcting the record saying, no, Gary Nolan has not even begun the analysis yet. And Gary Nolan, if he was a moral or ethical person, would have equally released a statement saying, I disagree with these promos. I haven't even begun my analysis work. We don't have proof of alien anything. Don't get overly excited. Nobody released anything. They just sat there and let the lie fester until they got caught due to our excellent coverage of this whole thing. And now they're all doing the Cosmic Con shuffle, even bringing in a public relations person to try to salvage whatever credibility they think they have. Great.
From your own article. Same thing for Ross. So yeah, he's giving materials, and I have a bunch of other materials, but a one-off analysis done just on that material. So what are you going to get? It's got iron, it's got a few other things in it, and maybe some carbon, nickel. Okay, so what?
What do you mean, so what? This is where he is misleading everyone. And by the way, maybe we should post a poll. Who had better eyelashes during this interview, Chrissy Newton or Gary Nolan? I think it's a tough call. It's a tough call who had better eyelashes. I don't know if they traded back and forth mascara tips here or what, but boy. All right, so we have detailed this before. He's going to argue that a 1-point analysis is not enough to determine if it's alien or not. Yes, it is. And I can't believe that I have to argue with a professor about this. But I did work at the Drexel Robotics Lab. I know what a mass spectrometer is, and I know what it is capable of, Gary Nolan. You can put the materials into a mass spectrometer capable of isotopic analysis, and it will instantly tell you if that material is from earthly origin or somewhere else. Not instantly. Take some time to run the analysis. But now comes the Cosmic Con shuffle. Now we got to make excuses for why that analysis work isn't done, right? What does he want to do? Overwhelm us with nonsense? Just do the mass spectrometer analysis and tell us if it's alien metals from another star system or not. It's very simple, Gary. And you said it would be done in a month. And here we are, what, 4 months later? Maybe 5? And we're still waiting for the analysis you said would take a month. And now come the excuses. A 1-point analysis is not enough. False. False. One test can tell you if those were alien metals from another star system or just ordinary earthly metals. One test. And just like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar, he's going to make excuses and try to lie his way out of it now, like a child with the cookie crumbs all over him. He's got cookie crumbs all over him, and he's going to try to lie his way out of this now.
It has to be run with controls. There's about 5 other things that could be done afterwards.
And I would submit to you, if you do the mass spectrometer analysis and it comes back ordinary earthly metals, why would you do further testing? Why would you waste your time, your resources, your personnel, your equipment, your lab time to do further analysis on something that is ordinary earthly metals? Why would you do that? Oh, because he's not paying for any of this. Apparently, until I'm corrected, Dr. Gary Nolan, Stanford University is paying for this, right? It's their lab equipment. It's their labs. It's their personnel. Stanford University is paying for this guy to pretend that this stuff may be alien metals. And I'm pretty sure that other scientists at Stanford University would agree with me. You do one test, see if it's alien metals or not. If it comes back negative, you're done. But he's going to make more excuses because that's what he's got to do to try to weasel out of this thing with the help of a public relations person whose job it is to sit there and help him navigate this shitstorm that we have brought upon this entire fake story.
So rather than with the 50 literally things that I've got, doing these little one-off experiments, each of which is expensive and each of which is time consuming. I have to ask one of my postdocs or grad students to do it in their off hours. And then I have to work on the data because I can't ask them to process the data. And then what am I going to do? Post it on Twitter?
Here's a problem. Gary Nolan, we have covered previously that according to the Stanford University Code of Ethics, as I read it, and again, I'm reaching out to them for comment and clarification. I did reach out to Gary Nolan for comment and clarification. He won't answer any questions, but I'll send him another email tomorrow and say, are you profiting from the use of university resources, personnel, labs, and equipment? He just admitted right here that he's going to use university labs, equipment, and personnel to do this analysis. So my issue is that if Ross Coulthart is paying him to do this analysis or paying him to participate in this 100% provably fake story, then he may be in violation of the Stanford University Code of Ethics, which says he can't use those things for personal profit.
No. What I want to do is take a whole bunch of these materials, have an analytical pipeline and framework, run all of them at once so that they're all run at the same time under the same conditions, etc., with enough left over that I could hand to anybody else who wants to do it as well, and then publish a paper on it. So I'm so
How was he going to get that all done in a month? He was going to have all kinds of lab personnel do 50 tests, right? That's not what they said in the piece. What they said in the piece is that he was going to put it in a mass spectrometer and determine if it was alien metals or not. And he didn't do that. Or imagine this possibility, and I freely admit it's speculation. What if he already did the analysis and he knows that this is regular earthly metal? And that ball is most likely a ball valve from manufacturing equipment, normal earthly material, nothing special about it. Maybe, just maybe, and I agree, we're spitballing, we're speculating here. Maybe if you did that analysis and you knew you got caught real bad like this, promising alien technology, maybe what you want to do is do 50 more tests until you find something that's a little strange, a little odd, and gives you an out. Well, there was some anomalous readings over at this test. No, you do one test, mass spectrometer analysis. It'll tell you the elemental makeup. A good one will tell you the isotopic ratios and tell you if it's alien metals or from another star system. All this other stuff is a smokescreen to detract from what him and Ross Coulthart did, selling a 100% provably fake story.
Sorry to the people who are so frigging impatient that they won't get off their butt and go learn this stuff and do it themselves. I'm not your daddy.
Blame the
I'm not
people.
here to do things
Asking for
you.
the analysis.
I'm sorry. Get out of your basement and go do something.
And by the way, I've offered to pay for the mass spectrometer analysis. I did get off my butt and do something. I investigated your ridiculous out there, out of this world claims. That's what the piece was called, Out of This World. I investigated, Gary, and you look like this is a perfect place to stop. Look at his face here. He really does look like a kid who got caught with his hand in the cookie jar with bad mascara on, but still, I did do something. I offered to pay for the mass spectrometer analysis. We could get it done tomorrow. FedEx me the samples, Gary Nolan. I'll get it done and I'll get it back to you within 48 hours. I'll get you lab results. I'll get you a complete report and I'll get it all done in 48 hours. Not a month like you said it would take, and not with $64 million. That test would cost probably $500 or less at a good materials lab.
In the meantime, I'm collecting the stuff and I'm preparing that pipeline.
He's working on it.
So that not only will I be able to do that, but should anybody on the inside think that I have something valuable, they can come to me. Now, why would they do that? Because they already have. Because they've already come to me with some of their results. And I basically said, these results are shit.
You know why he said that? Because they came back and said, normal earthly metals, and he refuses to accept it. That's what I think.
Sorry, I'm just going to be clear. This is shoddy work. This can't go anywhere. Who did this? It's crap. All right?
That's 100% fair. Yeah.
So that's the reason. And this is,
by the way, who did the other analysis work, Gary? Or are you just making stuff up here? I think he's just making stuff up. That's what I think. Can I have the names of these people who did the shoddy analysis work? Can I interview them and verify that you're not lying through your teeth here? Or are you just making up stories to cover for this? Are you just making stuff up, Gary?
It's expensive. I mean, let's just run the numbers. The equipment that will be required to do it.
And by the way, he's going to complain that he needs all this money. He's already admitted earlier in here, he's using Stanford University labs, equipment, and personnel to do all the work. It will cost him nothing, except maybe his job if he's not allowed to do that, according to Stanford University Code of Ethics. I don't know. Great. And now he's going to complain that he needs all kinds of money, all kinds of equipment that people need to purchase for him to do this analysis work. You showed the machine in the original piece months and months and months ago that would do the analysis work. You already had the machine. You showed where you said it would take you a month to do it. Now we get this whole story. He needs $64 million now. I need $64 million.
A full A to Z, easily to buy the instruments retail or whatever, $50-60 million to buy all the kinds of instruments that you require to set up a laboratory. Now you have to people that laboratory with experts with each of those machines. Some of these machines are like a lifetime work to understand how to run them. All right, so now you've got, let's say, 5, 6.
I'm told by a friend of mine who's a chemist that you can learn to work a mass spectrometer in an hour or two with somebody qualified that already knows how to work the machine. So this is also a smokescreen, and this is also excuses for him being unable to produce the, quote, conclusive proof of alien technology he promised. And by the way, why do you need to spend $64 million, right? Why don't you just send the material to a qualified metals analysis lab, which Gary Nolan is an immunologist. Why is he even doing materials analysis work? None of this makes sense. This is all excuses, smokescreen, deception, misdirection. Oh yeah, that fake story that we were selling. Yeah, well, here's the excuses why we'll never have the proof we promised everyone. Because I need $60 million. Maybe he spent all his money on mascara. Who knows?
Technicians at, we call them an FTE of, salary and benefits, $200,000 and, running costs. You got 10 of them. That's $2-3 million.
Now he needs, remember, in the original piece, he just showed the mass spectrometer and he said he'll be able to tell if that's alien metals or not. Now he needs $60 million for equipment. He needs $2 million for personnel. And again, earlier in this, he said that he would use university labs, resources, and personnel to do the analysis work. So why do you now have to purchase all this equipment if Stanford University labs already have it and you were going to use Stanford University labs? Or does he know now that he can't use the Stanford University stuff? Because, well, we have detailed why.
A year. And then managing costs for the instruments is probably another $1 million a year for warranties and all that kind of stuff. I know that because I run my own lab, and that's basically what it costs to run my lab. My lab runs at about $3 to $4 million a year. That's what I spend my off hours writing grants and begging charities for money to keep it running. And so for all the people on Twitter who think that this is just something you snap your fingers and do, go ahead. I've seen some of those snap your fingers reports, and they're garbage.
They're not garbage. A qualified metals analysis lab could perform that almost at the snap of a finger. You take a sample there, you pay them, they do the work depending on how loaded up they are with people ahead of you, within a few days, a week, whatever, and they get you a report. It's not a garbage report. It will be a very basic report. This is what the sample is comprised of elementally. This is what the isotopic ratios are. If that all matches normal earthly materials, we're done. He doesn't want to be done. He doesn't want to be done. Maybe they had a part 2 of this story planned, right? Where they're going to show us some kind of conky wonky maybe proof because there's something anomalous in the material samples or something, right? No, you do a mass spectrometer analysis. He is lying. And I can't believe that I have to, on a public live stream, argue with a university professor that apparently for all of his work in immunology doesn't know how a mass spectrometer works and how quickly results can be obtained to determine whether something is of earthly origin or out of this world. But here we are, the wacky world of UFOs, where a college professor, a man with a doctorate degree, doesn't know how a machine works. but some clown who built Linux servers in the Drexel Robotics Lab does. Great.
Yeah, we don't want garbage.
We don't want
we
garbage.
want
It's gonna
proper
be
data.
used-
Yeah.
It's going to be used by the naysayers, and they're going to pick it apart. I mean, even the beautiful study that we did on the Atacama skeleton.
Yeah, who paid for that? Did you use university equipment to do that? Did you use university personnel? Oh, yeah, you did. It's even detailed in the report that he used university labs and equipment and personnel. And again, I have ethics questions about that. How much were you paid to do that analysis work? Does Stanford University know that you were using their analysis labs and their equipment and their personnel to be paid by a third party to do analysis work and genetic work on that Stephen Greer Atacama skeleton?
The DNA study we did, showing that it was human and showing it had bone morphology genes. I had world's expert geneticists on South American genetics and the world's expert in bone disorder genes here at Stanford, both of them being at Stanford. I did that, 12, 15 people on the paper, Roche sequencing, experts in bioinformatician, et cetera. We all did it. Everything was double clipped. I'm still a CIA plant that, was bought off by a grant from the DAD for ovarian research. $3 million. I get bought off. I mean, I didn't even analyze the data. My students did. So I didn't get bought off. You're accusing the students of being bought off?
And again, here he is admitting that he was using university labs, equipment, and even students to do this analysis work. So again, I will ask, how much was he paid by Stephen Greer for his participation in that project? It's a valid question, especially considering the problem of the Stanford University Ethics Code. But Dr. Gary Nolan will not answer any questions that I posed to him about this.
And a conspiracy? So this is what happens. So even in the best of, and so one of the things I learned on that is that because I wrote an email to Stephen Greer saying in the early days, I think there might be something here. I learned later that it was garbage, that the data that I thought was anomalous was just garbage. It wasn't garbage. It was just, there's a way to process the data that I hadn't done, I wasn't aware of. But that didn't stop. But because he wanted it to be about an alien, it didn't fit his narrative. So therefore, he claims I'm a fraud. Well, my answer is, with science, is now he claims that he has a piece of the bone. So go, and he says that there are experts who say that I'm wrong. Publish the darn paper. Stop claiming that. If you don't think that I'm right.
He can't help throwing shade on Stephen Greer, who called him a CIA disinformation agent.
Publish a paper and prove I'm wrong.
And by the way, Gary Nolan has admitted to working with or for the CIA. So, not that I believe Dr. Stephen Greer.
That's what science is about. I can be wrong if you publish the paper. Until then, you're full of shit.
Right, 100%. And Stephen Greer is his, it's his own bag of worms.
But
sure.
but it's indicative of a kind of person that does this. But it taught me a lesson, is that you don't do science by press release. You don't do it by Twitter. You do it by publishing it in a peer-reviewed paper, which is the standard by which other people can look at the data and say whether or not what you did was right.
Yeah, and this is more excuses, because if he did the metals analysis on that ball and it turned out to be normal earthly metals after the simplest of tests, the mass spectrometer test, and it came back earthly metals, no one would want him to publish a paper about it. It's garbage. Who cares? It's a metal ball. It's a ball valve from a manufacturing plant. Why do we want a scientific paper with 50 studies and 50 tests and people doing all kinds of analysis on it? It is not what you claimed it to be, an alien scout ship Remember the alien scout ship, right? You said it must be an alien scout ship, Dr. Gary Nolan. Goddamn clown. This guy's a clown in a lab coat.
And if to the extent that the original material that created the data is shareable, which this body is, and people claim now to have that they kept a piece of it, fine, go reanalyze it. That's what you do. That's what science is. And so for all the people who wonder whether or not I'm going to do anything with it, the short answer, and I've told this to Ross and he knows it, is no, not until I have the analytical framework set up to do it.
And again, in the original piece, he stood in front of a mass spectrometer at Stanford University and told Ross that he would do the analysis and it would take about a month. And no, it doesn't take a month to do one simple test in a mass spectrometer. But even still, if we accept that, he said he would do the work and he had the equipment right in front of him in the piece. Or was that deception, Gary Nolan? Did you just stand in front of a random machine that you weren't allowed to use at Stanford to help Ross sell the piece? Because now you're saying that you need all this infrastructure, you need 10 employees. And look, the fact that he's saying that he needs $64 million now to do this analysis work that any lab could do for $500, and like literally, I'm telling you, if you go and get a random piece of metal and send it to a materials analysis lab and ask them to determine if it's from earthly origin metals or not, they could do it. And it would all be done. And look at this poor, sad face on him as he realizes that the jig is up now. Yeah. So where do we go from here, friends? Well, we go to a few things. First, we want to take a moment to remind everyone that we're a viewer-supported show. And unlike the circle jerkers who don't ask the hard questions, we do. And we need your support to continue this journey, because I'm not getting 10 or 20,000 views by doing this kind of softball circle jerk that we just witnessed. Even somebody was told exactly what the situation was, given all the evidence before the interview, still refused to do their job and do the right thing and ask the right questions. But remember, I'm the bad guy here. And I'm fine with being the bad guy, but I'm right. This analysis can be done by any materials analysis lab can finish this work in a day, a week, and it's very inexpensive. Well, comparatively, I'm poor. So the fact that I offered to pay for it is, but this is how strongly I feel that these guys are selling a fake alien ball story. And I would like to get the proof of that, admittedly, so I can jam it in their face. Can I get a sample? And I'll pay for the testing, get it independently done. And then a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when Gary Nolan still hasn't completed his analysis, we'll have it already. We'll have it. So we are a viewer-supported show. I want to thank all you kind and generous benefactors from all over the world, including you folks on Patreon and you channel members, especially you kind and generous super chatters, people who buy super stickers to help the show, people who donate through PayPal or Cash App. Instructions are all in the description of the video. And here's Ian to remind you how you can help our show.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Candion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support.
So we're back, and I'm going to read some super chats, and we'll thank all you kind and generous benefactors for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show. It makes me feel good to know that people do want the truth, and they're not willing to accept the UFO circle jerk, right? And I always joke that what we do here is like asking me to run a marathon with 2 broken legs. Right? All these clowns have to do is just don't ask any real questions. Just play the game. In this circumstance is a great example. Here we have somebody who's a public relations person. Help Dr. Gary Nolan get over this problem. And I think she did a terrible job, honestly, because it's so transparent that she helped him behind the scenes and told him what things he should address or have to say, right, to address the controversy. And of course, that's my opinion and speculation, but it is valid opinion and speculation. Collie Armstrong with a kind and generous Great Britain pounds 149. Thank you for your kindness. Purchase a super sticker. Richard Crawley with a kind and generous 13.99 Canadian. Very generous, says great intro, rock on. John Chow with a kind and generous US $5 super chat, says they will do the mass spectrometer. It will be from here. We'll say it's built here by alien drone. Avi Lieb is pushing that kind of theory from Harvard. Grift. I agree. And thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support, John Cho. And we have Richard Crawley, longtime show supporter, with another kind of generous $6.99 Canadian dollar, says killer. Al Warrior, the kind and generous US 99 cents, and a happy face. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. It is much, much appreciated. I mentioned that we are building a brand new state-of-the-art, wonderful studio in the middle of an enchanted forest. Well, I don't know if it's really enchanted. It's enchanting to me, and I'm just going to say that because if UFO grifters can say they have conclusive proof of alien technology, I could say we're building our studio in an enchanted forest, right? I think so. Okay, so checking in with other stuff, seeing if I have anything else to read. I will give some time and attention to the live chat. And we see Robert Redmond's Clip, Satire and Parody channel just became a new member at 10:45 p.m. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. For those unaware, we want to thank you. I'm sorry if I didn't put all of the super chats on screen. It's difficult to do that during a presentation. You guys understand. We do love and appreciate and thank all of you. Going from here till the end of the show, I will put everyone on the screen. Robert Redmond's Clip, Satire, and Parody channel. Thanks for becoming a member. Much, much appreciated. We, for those unaware, we have 2 options if you want to become a channel, if you want to become a member of our thing here. The first is to be a Patreon supporter, and that's $1 or more a month. I hate putting anything behind a paywall, but what we do is give some extra goodies, a monthly show journal, sort of backstage pass, and other extra goodies. And we put them on the Patreon, and for $1 a month, you get those extra goodies. You also get an advanced view. In other words, when we do mostly live shows here, but when we do production videos here, we put them on the Patreon for a little while first. There's several videos that we just put there at the end of last month. Every month you get a couple of backstage views. You get to see the videos before they're uploaded and made public as a Patreon supporter. That's $1 a month. And you can also become a YouTube channel member. Just click that join button, and that is $5 a month. And you get all the Patreon links and some extra YouTube goodies like a channel badge and other things identifying you, like Robert just did here. And then every time you come into our live chat, people are going to know you're a big show supporter because you've got that channel member badge letting everybody know you support the show. And we love and appreciate all of you. Al Warrior with the kind and generous $1.49 super sticker. Thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. And another one, 2 horns up. Yes, I remember that. Do you know, Al Warrior, that my father was so staunchly Catholic that he would throw our Ozzy Osbourne records in the trash, and then he would make us go to counseling with a priest who would tell us about the dangers of satanic music, the wonders of growing up Catholic. And God forbid, if I got seen doing this anywhere, my dad would have sent me to counseling for a year with a priest. But interesting. Yeah. So any problems, any questions or comments for me, please put them in the live chat. I'll be reading some and reacting to some. And it's another great time to remind you, if you're listening in audio podcast land, please do come on over here to YouTube. Put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar. One word, Truth Seekers. You'll see me, the strange guy with sunglasses, pop up. Go there to that channel. That's our main hub here. And smash the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you too will know when we're doing a live broadcast and can come over here, take part in our interactive live chat. You are most welcome. We love you in audio podcast land, but we want you to come over here, come to the YouTube channel, subscribe. We need a bigger bullhorn. And by the way, while we're talking about bigger bullhorns tonight, we are broadcasting live on my Facebook page, also on the Truth Seekers Facebook page, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on DLive, on Odyssey and Rumble. And we welcome all of our new viewers, and we're getting lots of great comments at all the new platforms, including Odyssey, Rumble. DLive, we just began. Welcome, DLive streamers, watchers of the stream. But we want to remind you as well, if you're watching or listening on DLive, Odyssey, or Rumble, your chat comments I may not see unless I go directly to DLive, Odyssey, or Rumble. So you guys too, and you guys on Twitch, please do go to youtube.com. Again, put Truth Seekers, one word in the search bar. Look for the Truth Seekers channel. Me, the strange guy with sunglasses. Go there, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Come over here to YouTube, and I can see and put your comments on the screen and respond to your comments during the live broadcast. You are most welcome. We love all. I'm getting all kinds of new emails from people. We're getting messages from people saying, I'm so glad you're on Rumble. I refuse to watch YouTube. I'm so glad you're on whatever. And by the way, if you're watching a replay on our replay channels on Brighteon, on BitChute, or on Daily Motion, again, you're missing the live fun. So you people watching on BitChute, Brighteon, or BitChute, Brighteon, or Daily Motion. We want you as well. Come on over here to the YouTube channel for Truth Seekers. Just put Truth Seekers in the search bar. Go there, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and come here and be a part of our live broadcasts. You are most welcome here. MJ says, no doubt Stanford has co-signed on him using the equipment. Free public for the school. Those who make the rules bend the rules. I agree. And we want to know from Stanford University if they condone and endorse him using university labs and equipment to help people sell 100% provably fake UFO stories. Yes. And Complizert is here. Welcome, Complizert. We see B. Baker and Mr. Ian holding down the live chat. And oh, by the way, I want to thank Madame Two Swords for the wonderful cartoon that we began tonight's broadcast with. That really did make me chuckle today. The goof as Charlie Brown, but the evil Charlie Brown, right? And that's what this is. It's the childish world of ridiculousness where a guy who works for the biggest UFO scammers in the history of UFO scammers is going to pretend that he's credible and is going to pretend that Third Phase of Moon are credible. By the way, for several days now, one of the two Third Phase of Moon documentaries, by the way, in the description of this video, there's two documentaries about Third Phase of Moon and all their fakery, fraudery, and bullshit. And they're free, 100% free to watch. They're in the description of the video, how to put them on Odyssey because they copyright claimed or threatened a copyright claim. We're going to put it on YouTube eventually, and those guys are going to have to do whatever they're going to do. But one of the videos on Odyssey was not playing for several days. I'm not sure what the issue is. I emailed Odyssey, and it's fixed now. So both of the free documentaries in the description of all of our videos, I'm putting that in the description of every video from now until eternity. I want people to know what scammers Third Phase is. And I want people to know that Goofon knew they were scamming people the whole time, and he kept his mouth shut because he's a weasel, right? John Chow says Harvard is pushing Loeb to all the big podcasts with his new SETI scam. Makes sense. Stanford wants in on the grift. Yeah. Al Warrior says, I'm still craving a triple meat burger from Whataburger. I don't know about that, but there's a place here called Nifty 50s. Look it up, Al Warrior. It's like an old time 50s burger joint, and it is delicious. And they got a triple cheeseburger I can barely finish, but I get it every time. There's a new one, and I got to take my kids, right? I think I'm going to do a food challenge, says Al Warrior. Yeah, so any more comments or questions for me, please put them in all capital letters. Al Warrior says, rest in peace to your dad, though. I grew up Catholic too, but that's intense. Yeah, he was really, he was in on the whole satanic panic. He was convinced that satanic cults were trying to recruit me and my brother through satanic music like Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath and Queen, right? It's kind of ridiculous. Complizert is here with the bacon and B. Baker. Yeah. So we're going to bounce on out of here, friends. I want to remind you all, I will be back. I will be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I have to choose which of two shows I have been busily preparing we are going to broadcast tomorrow night. Can't give you any more details, but please do be here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you are most welcome. We usually broadcast Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll be here, and I hope that you will be here too. What I can say in summation is that it's a big club, and I ain't in it. And now we could see more about how all of these UFO scams work. They work because people like Chrissy Newton help them work so that they get the clicks and the views. One final thing that I will share very quickly, running out of time here, is that it's not just Chrissy Newton doing the UFO circle jerk, because there are other bottom feeders. Look at these headlines. Stanford top scientist had 3 alien UFO encounters, said he saw gray ETs. So it's not just Chrissy Newton that profits from this man telling fake stories. It's other bottom feeders like this site, How and Why, who post provably fake stories constantly, right? And this is by Vicky Verma, who I don't understand, got a woman's name, Piers Male, whatever, is on Twitter. And look at the quality of some of these stories. And there's so many ads that I can't show you the tab, but the tab is still buffering. Like it's still, and it's been for 2 hours trying to get all these ads to still play. So this is monetized content made out of Chrissy Newton's circle jerk, right? On howandwise.com. Stanford top scientists had 3 alien UFO encounters. No proof of anything, just stories. But remember, I'm the bad guy here. So the circle jerk continues, and we're going to start reporting on the biggest UFO circle jerkers that there are. And I think that's a good thing. These people should have to answer for their fakery and fraud. So that's all I got for you, or for participating, enabling it, and helping make it work. After all, tonight we saw a public relations person try to help Gary Nolan get out of this one. Bad job, honey. That's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.